War Prime Kethvar had conquered 47 civilizations, but he had never faced anything like Earth's defense system. Standing on the command deck of the World Render, he watched his tactical displays show the destruction of another assault. Wave. 8,000 ships lost in 12 hours, and the humans had not fired a single conventional weapon. "Analysis complete, War Prime," his chief science advisor reported, its biomechanical voice trembling with confusion. "The humans have somehow weaponized their planet's natural gravitational field. The effects are strongest near their oceanic regions and appear to be controlled by some form of distributed intelligence." Kethvar studied the reports from his surviving ships. The humans were not just defending their world, they were rewriting the basic rules of physics in the space around their planet. His bioships, bred for 3 centuries of conquest, were helpless against forces that should not exist. "How is this possible?" Kethvar demanded. "No species in galactic history has ever controlled space-time itself." "War Prime. Perhaps that is why this species was never conquered before. Perhaps they are not as primitive as we believed." Deep beneath Earth's Pacific Ocean, Dr. Margaret Foster monitored the Leviathan network as it reached full operational capacity. The gravitational resonance generators were drawing massive amounts of energy from Earth's magnetic field, its rotation, and the tidal forces from the moon. The planet itself had become humanity's weapon. "All platforms operating at maximum efficiency," reported Commander Ryan Phillips. "The gravitational distortion fields now extend beyond lunar orbit." Foster looked at her displays showing the alien fleet positions. "The system is learning, just as we designed it to. Each enemy attack provides more data, allowing the network to adapt and improve its defensive algorithms." What the Zephyrians did not understand was that Earth's Leviathan system was not just a weapon. It was a living defense network that used the planet's own geological and magnetic processes as a vast computational system. Every alien attack made it smarter and more deadly. Admiral Morrison watched from the bridge of the Titan as reports came in from across the solar system. "Captain Barnes, what's our current status?" "Sir, enemy casualties are approaching 70%. Their remaining ships are scattered throughout the outer solar system, unable to approach Earth due to the gravitational distortions." Morrison could hardly believe what he was hearing. Humanity's greatest enemy, the force that had swept across the galaxy like a plague, was being defeated by Earth itself. War Prime Kethvar made his final desperate decision. He would lead the remaining ships of his armada in one last assault on the human homeworld. If he could destroy the source of these impossible gravitational effects, victory might still be possible. "All remaining vessels," he broadcast to his fleet, "follow the World Render. We attack the planet directly." 12,000 bioships, all that remained of the mighty Zephyrian armada, formed up behind their flagship. The massive World Render led the charge toward Earth, its bioorganic hull pulsing with stored energy. "Sir, the enemy flagship is leading a final assault," Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez reported from Luna Station. "All surviving ships are converging on Earth." Admiral Morrison opened a communication channel to the underground command centers. "Dr. Foster, they're coming with everything they have left. Can the Leviathan network handle the World Render itself?" Foster's voice came through the speakers with quiet confidence. "Admiral, we're about to create the largest gravitational cascade in recorded history. The network has been analyzing the enemy flagship for the past 6 hours. We know exactly how to stop it." As the Zephyrian fleet approached Earth, the Leviathan network responded with its most powerful display yet. The gravitational distortions became visible to the naked eye as space itself rippled around the planet. The effect looked like waves, spreading outward from Earth's oceans, each one carrying the power to reshape reality. The first ships to encounter the cascade were simply erased from existence. Their bioorganic components could not adapt to the constantly changing laws of physics. Metal hulls twisted into impossible shapes before vanishing completely. "Impossible," Kethvar whispered as he watched his ships disappear. How can primitives command the very fabric of reality? The world render itself, mighty flagship of the Zephyrian Empire, became caught in a localized space-time distortion generated by the Leviathan network. The massive ship, which had destroyed entire planets, found itself trapped in a gravitational loop that folded space around it. "War Prime!" his navigator called out in panic. "Our propulsion systems are failing! The ship is being pulled into some kind of spatial anomaly!" Kethvar looked at his displays one last time. His instruments showed readings that made no sense. Space and time were behaving like liquids around his ship, flowing and changing in patterns that defied all understanding. Admiral Morrison's voice came across all communication frequencies, broadcast to every ship in both fleets. "War Prime Kethvar, you conquered the stars by following the rules of conventional warfare. We won by changing the rules themselves." The world render began to break apart as the gravitational forces tore at its bioorganic structure. Kethvar had time for one final transmission before his flagship was consumed by the space-time distortion. "Impossible," he said again. "How can such a primitive species wield such power?" Morrison's reply was simple and final. "We're not just defending our world, Kethvar. We are our world." The destruction of the world render sent shockwaves through the remaining Zephyrian ships. Without their leader and flagship, the surviving vessels lost all coordination. Some tried to flee toward the edge of the solar system, but the gravitational distortions prevented their faster-than-light drives from engaging. Captain Turner watched from Luna Station as the last enemy ships either surrendered or were destroyed by the ongoing gravitational effects. "Rodriguez, are we getting any more enemy transmissions?" "A few scattered distress calls, sir. Most of them are requesting permission to surrender." Turner could hardly believe it. The Zephyrian Empire, conqueror of 47 civilizations, was asking humanity for mercy. Dr. Foster began powering down the Leviathan network as the immediate threat ended. All platforms reducing to standby power. The gravitational distortions should return to normal levels within 6 hours. As Earth's oceans slowly calmed and the space-time effects diminished, humanity began to understand what they had accomplished. They had not just defeated the Zephyrian Empire, they had proven that Earth itself was unlike any other world in the galaxy. Admiral Morrison stood on the observation deck of the Titan, looking down at his home world. The blue planet seemed unchanged, but he knew that humanity would never be the same. They had discovered that their world was not just their home. It was a weapon more powerful than any fleet or technology. "Sir," Captain Barnes reported, "we're receiving communication signals from across the galaxy. Other civilizations that have been hiding from the Zephyrians are sending diplomatic messages." Morrison smiled. Word would spread quickly through the galaxy. The species that had stopped the unstoppable conquerors would be both feared and respected throughout the stars. In the weeks that followed, the scattered survivors of the Zephyrian fleet carried warnings to the farthest reaches of space. They spoke of a small blue world where the inhabitants had somehow learned to command reality itself. A planet where space and time obeyed the will of its defenders. Other civilizations, those who had hidden from the Zephyrian Empire for centuries, began sending cautious diplomatic signals toward Earth. The species that had defeated the galaxy's greatest threat had earned a new reputation among the stars. Humanity no longer stood alone in a hostile universe. They stood as the guardians of something far more powerful than any armada. They were the living embodiment of a world that refused to surrender, no matter the odds. The stars had gained new masters, and they were surprisingly, wonderfully human. War Prime Kethvar stood on the command deck of the world render, studying the tactical displays that showed his massive fleet approaching the third planet. In 300 years of conquest, he had destroyed entire star systems and enslaved billions of creatures. This small blue world should have been an easy victory. But something was wrong. War Prime, his chief navigator hissed through biomechanical vocal cords. 12 of our advanced scout ships have lost communication with the main fleet. Kethvar turned his reptilian head toward the navigation console. Equipment failure? Unknown. War Prime. The ship simply stopped responding. Our sensors show they are still there, but they are not moving and do not answer our calls. This was unusual. Zephyrian bioships were bred for war with organic systems that could heal from almost any damage. Losing 12 ships without any sign of battle was something Kethvar had never experienced before. Show me their last known positions, he ordered. The tactical display highlighted the missing ships. They were scattered throughout the inner solar system with no obvious pattern to their locations. Sir, reported the chief sensor technician, we are detecting massive gravitational distortions throughout this system. The space-time fabric appears to be fluctuating. Kethvar studied the readings. His science advisors had warned him about unusual gravitational signatures from this star system, but he had dismissed their concerns. Primitive species often had unstable technology that interfered with sensors. Deep beneath Earth's Pacific Ocean, Dr. Margaret Foster watched her control screens as the Leviathan network came to full power. The massive gravitational resonance generators were drawing energy from Earth's magnetic field, its rotation, and even the tidal forces from the moon. All platforms report ready status, announced Commander Ryan Phillips from the underground. Command Center. Gravitational field manipulation is at 30% of maximum power. Increase to 60%, Foster ordered. Let's see how they handle this. Around Earth, space itself began to change. The Leviathan network created pockets where the normal laws of physics worked differently. Faster-than-light travel became impossible in these areas. Energy weapons behaved strangely. Navigation computers calculated impossible trajectories. Admiral Morrison watched from the bridge of the Titan as the first Zephyrian assault wave approached Earth's orbital space. 300 bioships moved in perfect formation, expecting to encounter the usual desperate resistance of a doomed civilization. Instead, they flew into humanity's trap. Sir, enemy formation Alpha is entering the first gravitational distortion. Field, reported Captain Lisa Barnes. Morrison could see the alien ships on his tactical display. As they crossed into the affected area, their perfect formation began to break apart. The bioships started moving in strange patterns, as if their pilots had lost control. "What's happening to them?" asked Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez. Dr. Nathan Cross, monitoring the sensor readings from his science station, provided the answer. The gravitational distortions are affecting their propulsion systems. Their ships rely on conventional space-time physics for movement and navigation. We're essentially changing the rules of reality around them. On the main screen, Morrison watched as the Zephyrian ships began firing on each other. Their targeting. Systems designed to work in normal space couldn't compensate for the altered physics. Energy beams that should have hit Earth's defensive satellites instead curved back and struck their own ships. Impossible, Morrison whispered. For the first time in months, he was watching Zephyrian ships being destroyed without losing a single human vessel. War Prime Kethvar received the reports from his assault commanders with growing confusion and anger. Explain to me how 300 ships can be defeated by a species with primitive technology. His tactical advisor, a veteran of 40 conquests, studied the battle reports. War Prime, their weapons appear to be malfunctioning. Navigation systems are providing incorrect data. Several ships report that their faster-than-light drives are completely non-functional. Are they using some kind of jamming technology? No, War Prime. Our analysis suggests that the space around their planet is different. The fundamental forces of physics appear to be altered in localized areas. Kethvar had conquered civilizations with technology far beyond anything these humans possessed. He had fought species that could manipulate matter at the atomic level and others that could bend light itself into weapons. But he had never encountered anyone who could change the basic laws of reality. "This is impossible," he snarled. "Physics cannot be altered. Space-time is constant." "War Prime," his science advisor interrupted. "Perhaps for this species it is not." On Earth, Commander Phillips monitored the engagement from the underground control center. Enemy casualties are approaching 40%. The remaining ships are attempting to retreat, but they cannot engage their faster-than-light drives while inside the distortion fields. Dr. Foster increased the power output from the Leviathan network. "Bring the system to 80% of maximum. Let's show them what Earth can really do." The gravitational distortions intensified. More Zephyrian ships found themselves trapped in areas where their technology simply stopped working. Some vessels were caught in gravity wells that compressed them into tiny balls of metal and organic matter. Others were trapped in spatial loops, causing them to collide with their own past trajectories. Captain Turner, watching from Luna Station, could hardly believe what he was seeing. "Rodriguez, are you recording all of this?" "Yes, sir. Every sensor we have is documenting the battle." Turner looked at the tactical display showing the destruction of the Zephyrian assault force. 60 years of defeats, and now we're winning a battle without firing a shot. But War Prime Kethvar was not easily discouraged. He had not conquered half the galaxy by giving up after one failed attack. "Prepare the secondary assault force," he ordered. 5,000 ships. They will attack from multiple directions simultaneously." "War Prime," his tactical advisor warned. "The previous assault force was completely destroyed. Perhaps we should study these anomalies before—" "No," Kethvar interrupted. "I have conquered 47 civilizations. I will not be stopped by primitive humans with malfunctioning technology. Launch the attack." Admiral Morrison received the warning from Earth's long-range sensors. "Sir, enemy fleet is launching a second assault. 5,000 ships this time, approaching from 6 different directions." Morrison looked at his crew. They had just witnessed something miraculous, but now they faced an even larger attack. "Dr. Foster," Morrison called to the underground command center. "Can the Leviathan network handle 5,000 ships?" Foster's voice came through the communication system. "We're about to find out, Admiral. Increasing power to maximum levels. Deep, beneath the oceans, the gravitational resonance generators drew more power from Earth itself. The planet's magnetic field fluctuated as massive amounts of energy flowed through the Leviathan network. "Sir," Captain Barnes reported, "the gravitational distortions are expanding. They now cover most of Earth's orbital space." Morrison watched as 5,000 Zephyrian bioships entered the affected area around Earth. This time, the results were even more dramatic. Entire formations of enemy vessels simply disappeared, caught in gravitational anomalies that transported them to unknown locations in space. Other ships found their bioorganic hulls changing at the molecular level as the altered physics affected their living components. Some vessels began growing uncontrollably, their organic parts responding to the strange gravitational fields. Others started shrinking until they imploded. "War Prime," came the desperate transmission from one of the assault commanders. "Our ships are being destroyed by forces we cannot understand. Space itself appears to be fighting against us." Kethvar stared at his tactical display in disbelief. In less than 6 hours, he had lost over 5,000 ships without the humans firing a single conventional weapon. "This is not possible," he said quietly. "No species in galactic history has ever weaponized space-time itself." His science advisor looked at the readings from their surviving ships. "War Prime, perhaps this species is not as primitive as we assumed. Perhaps they have discovered something that we have not." For the first time in 3 centuries of conquest, War Prime Kethvar felt something he had never experienced before: fear. Captain Bobby Turner stood at the observation deck of Luna Station, watching the last evacuation ships leave Earth orbit. The massive cargo vessels were packed with civilians, heading for the outer colonies where they might have a chance to survive. Below him, Earth looked peaceful and blue, with white clouds swirling over the oceans. It was hard to believe that beneath those calm waters, humanity's most desperate weapon was waiting. "Sir, we're getting reports from the deep space sensors," said Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez. She was monitoring the communication arrays that stretched from Luna to the edge of the solar system. "The Zephyrian main fleet has arrived at the asteroid belt." Turner moved to the main display screen. The holographic image showed the enemy armada in all its terrible glory. Thousands of bioships floated in perfect formation, each one larger than Earth's biggest cities. The ships looked like living creatures, with organic curves and surfaces that pulsed with their own light. Some had tentacle-like appendages that moved slowly through space. Others had wing-like structures that seemed to breathe. "How many ships?" Turner asked. Rodriguez checked her readings. 24,600 confirmed vessels, still counting smaller craft. Turner felt his stomach tighten. Even with Project Leviathan, those were impossible odds. Each enemy ship was more powerful than anything humanity had ever built. Their weapons could crack planets, and their bio-armor could heal from almost any damage. "Any word from Admiral Morrison?" "The Titan is holding position near Earth's moon," Rodriguez reported. "Admiral Morrison is coordinating with the underground command centers." On the main screen, Turner could see the Zephyrian flagship. It was enormous, easily 10 times larger than any other ship in their fleet. Intelligence reports called it the World Render, commanded by War Prime Kethvar himself. The massive vessel had destroyed more civilizations than any other ship in galactic history. "Sir, incoming transmission from the enemy fleet," Rodriguez announced. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies." "Put it through." The communication screen flickered to life. The image showed a creature that looked like a giant reptile walking upright. Its skin was dark green and covered with biomechanical implants. When it spoke, its voice was translated by computer into human language. "Primitive species of the third planet," the alien said. "I am War Prime Kethvar of the Zephyrian Empire. You inhabit a world that belongs to the sacred formation. Surrender immediately, and your deaths will be swift. Resist, and we will consume your world slowly, feeding on your suffering." The transmission ended. Turner looked around the observation deck at his crew. These were good people, trained officers who had volunteered to stay behind when the evacuation ships left. They could have gone to safety with their families, but they chose to fight. "Rodriguez, open a channel to Earth Command," Turner ordered. Admiral Morrison's face appeared on the screen. Behind him, Turner could see the busy command center aboard the Titan. Other ships from Earth's small fleet were visible through the bridge windows. "Bobby, I assume you saw the enemy transmission," Morrison said. "Yes, sir. Same demands they've made to every other world, and our response will be the same as always," Morrison replied. "Rodriguez, broadcast this message on all frequencies. Make sure every ship in both fleets receives it." Rodriguez nodded and activated the transmission systems. Morrison cleared his throat and looked directly into the camera. "This is Admiral Jake Morrison of the United Earth Fleet," he began. "War Prime. Kethvar, you have invaded our space and murdered our people. You have destroyed our colonies and threatened our homeworld. Earth does not surrender. Earth does not yield. If you want our planet, come and take it." The transmission ended. Turner smiled despite the situation. Morrison had just declared war on the most powerful empire in the galaxy using fewer than 50 words. "Sir, the enemy fleet is responding," Rodriguez reported. "They're beginning their approach toward Earth." Turner watched the display as the massive Zephyrian armada started moving. The bioships maintained their perfect formations, advancing like a living tide of destruction. Their approach was slow and deliberate, designed to create fear in their enemies. "Time until they reach Earth orbit?" Turner asked. "At current speed, approximately 18 hours, Rodriguez calculated. Turner activated his communication link to the underground command centers. "Command, this is Luna Station. Enemy fleet is beginning final approach. Estimated time of arrival is 18 hours. Dr. Foster's voice came through the speakers. "Acknowledged, Luna Station. Leviathan systems are charging to full power. All ocean platforms report ready status." Turner could see Earth's oceans on the observation deck's telescopes. To the naked eye, they looked normal. But somewhere beneath those waves, massive machines were preparing to change the laws of physics themselves. "Sir, we're detecting energy readings from Earth's surface," Rodriguez announced. "The gravitational sensors are showing fluctuations in the planet's magnetic field." "That's the Leviathan network coming online," Turner explained. "Dr. Foster's people are powering up the gravitational resonance generators." As the hours passed, more reports came in from the sensor stations throughout the solar system. The Zephyrian fleet continued its steady advance, passing Mars without slowing down. Their bioships were scanning everything, analyzing Earth's defenses and looking for weaknesses. "They're not finding much," Rodriguez observed. "Our conventional defenses are pretty weak compared to what they're used to." "That's the idea," Turner replied. "Let them think we're just another primitive species with basic weapons." But something strange was beginning to happen as the alien fleet moved deeper into the solar system. Several of their scout ships reported unusual sensor readings. Navigation computers were showing minor errors. Gravity measurements were fluctuating in ways that didn't make sense. "Sir, we're intercepting enemy communications," Rodriguez said excitedly. "Their navigators are reporting anomalous gravitational readings throughout the inner solar system." Turner leaned over the communication console. "Can you translate what they're saying?" "The computer is working on it. Here's the translation. War Prime. Our sensor technicians report spatial distortions near the third planet. The gravity readings are inconsistent with standard planetary measurements." On the main screen, Turner could see the response from the world render. War Prime Kethavar's image appeared on an intercepted transmission to his fleet commanders. "Ignore the sensor anomalies," the alien commander ordered. "Primitive species often have unstable technology that interferes with our instruments. The third planet shows no significant defensive capabilities. Maintain formation and continue the approach." Turner almost felt sorry for them. The Zephyrians had conquered 47 civilizations by being more advanced than everyone else. They won battles through superior technology and overwhelming force. They had never encountered an enemy that fought by changing the fundamental rules of reality. "Rodriguez, send a message to Admiral Morrison," Turner ordered. "Tell him the enemy is taking the bait. They think our gravitational readings are just sensor interference." "Message sent, sir." Turner looked out at Earth one more time. His home world looked so small and fragile compared to the massive alien fleet approaching it, but appearances could be deceiving. Earth was about to prove that sometimes the most powerful weapons were the ones nobody expected. "All stations, this is Captain Turner," he announced to his crew. "In a few hours, we're going to witness something that has never happened before in galactic history. An entire planet is about to become a weapon. Whatever happens next, remember that we chose to fight. We chose to stand with our world against impossible odds." The Zephyrian fleet continued its advance toward Earth, confident in their superiority and certain of their victory. They had no idea that they were flying into a trap that would rewrite the laws of physics themselves. General Karen Hayes walked through the underground corridors beneath Geneva, Switzerland. The hallways were carved from solid rock, 3 miles below the surface. Emergency lights cast long shadows on the walls as she made her way to the most secure room on Earth. The Global Defense Council had not met in person for over 50 years. Today, representatives from every major nation sat around a circular table, their faces grim. Above them, holographic displays showed the advancing Zephyrian fleet. Red dots marked the positions of enemy ships as they moved closer to Earth. "Ladies and gentlemen," Hayes began, standing at the head of the table. "3 days ago, we lost Proxima Station. Yesterday, the colonies at Wolf 359 and Barnard Star went silent. The Zephyrian advance fleet is now 6,000 ships strong and growing." President Maria Santos of the American Federation raised her hand. "General Hayes, our combined fleet is still mobilizing. We have 1,800 ships ready for combat, with another 400 in construction, against 6,000 alien vessels that have never lost a battle," replied Prime Minister David Kim of the Asian Alliance. "Our weapons barely scratch their hulls. Their ships heal faster than we can damage them." Hayes activated the main display. "That's why we're here. Conventional warfare has failed every time we've tried it. Our railguns, plasma cannons, and nuclear missiles are useless against their adaptive shielding technology." Chancellor Elena Volkov of the European Union leaned forward. "Then what do you propose? We can't just surrender?" "We don't surrender," Hayes said firmly. "We try something they've never seen before." The door to the chamber opened. Commander Ryan Phillips entered, carrying a sealed briefcase. Behind him walked Dr. Margaret Foster, a woman in her 60s with gray hair and tired eyes. "Commander Yi. Phillips heads our experimental weapons division," Hayes explained. "Dr. Foster has been working on classified projects for the past 20 years. What they're about to show you has been kept secret from everyone except a handful of people." Phillips set his briefcase on the table and entered a long code. The lock clicked open. He pulled out a data pad and connected it to the room's main. "Computer, Project Leviathan began in 2095, Phillips said. "The official story was that we were studying Earth's magnetic field for scientific research. The real purpose was to prepare for exactly this situation." The holographic display changed. Instead of showing the approaching alien fleet, it now showed Earth's oceans. But these weren't normal ocean views. The images revealed massive structures hidden beneath the water, built into the deepest parts of the seafloor. "My God," whispered President Santos. "How long have these been there?" "Doctor," Foster stood up slowly. "We started construction 23 years ago. The deep ocean platforms are connected by cables running through underwater trenches. The entire network spans all 5 oceans." "What exactly are we looking at?" asked Prime Minister Kim Foster. Pressed a button on her control pad. The display zoomed in on one of the underwater structures. It was enormous, larger than a city block, with strange geometric shapes that seemed to pulse with their own light. "Gravitational resonance generators," Foster explained. "Each platform can manipulate local space-time by creating controlled distortions in Earth's gravitational field." The room fell silent. Chancellor Volkov was the first to speak. "That's impossible. Gravity can't be weaponized." "We thought so too," Phillips said, "until we discovered that Earth is unique in ways we never understood. Our planet's magnetic field, the size of our moon, the speed of our rotation, the way our continents are arranged. All of these factors create a gravitational signature that exists nowhere else in the galaxy." Hayes walked around the table. "The Zephyrians have conquered 47 civilizations using superior technology. They adapt to any weapon, any defense, any strategy. But they've never encountered a species that could manipulate the fundamental forces of physics." Admiral Susan Clark appeared on a communication screen. She was calling from the Pacific Fleet headquarters. "Admiral Clark," Hayes said, "please tell the Council about the ocean installations." Clark nodded. "For 20 years, we've been building platforms in the deepest parts of our oceans. Mariana Trench, Puerto Rico Trench, Java Trench, Peru-Chile Trench. Each location was chosen for its unique gravitational properties." Dr. Foster brought up technical diagrams. "The platforms don't use conventional energy sources. They're powered by Earth itself. The planet's rotation provides kinetic energy. Our magnetic field fluctuations create electrical power. Even the tidal forces from our moon are captured and converted." "How does it work as a weapon?" asked President Santos. Phillips activated a simulation. The display showed Earth surrounded by a complex web of gravitational fields. The Leviathan network can create localized distortions in space-time. Imagine an area where the laws of physics work differently, where faster-than-light travel becomes impossible, where energy weapons fire backwards into their own ships. Commander Bobby Turner, who had been sitting quietly, finally spoke. "You're talking about changing reality itself." "In small, controlled areas, yes," Foster confirmed. "The Zephyrians rely on their advanced technology. Their ships use conventional physics for propulsion, navigation, and weapon systems. If we change how physics works in the space around Earth, their advantages disappear." Admiral Clark's voice came from the communication screen. "We've run computer simulations for 15 years. The results are promising, but we've never tested the full system." "Why not?" asked Chancellor Volkov. "Because activating the complete Leviathan network will affect every satellite, every ship, every piece of technology in Earth's orbital space," Phillips explained. "It's not something you test unless you have no choice." Hayes looked around the table at the worried faces. "The Zephyrian main fleet will reach Earth in 14 months. Their advanced scouts are already probing our outer defenses. We estimate their full armada at over 20,000 ships." 20,000. Prime Minister Kim repeated quietly. "The largest fleet in galactic history," Hayes confirmed. "Led by War Prime Kethvar, who has personally conquered 18 civilizations." Dr. Foster pulled up more technical data. "The Leviathan system has 3 operational modes. Defensive mode creates gravitational barriers around Earth. Offensive mode generates space-time distortions that can disable or destroy enemy ships. Emergency mode..." She paused. "What's emergency mode?" asked President Santos. "Emergency mode turns Earth's entire gravitational field into a weapon. It would create a massive space-time cascade that could affect everything within several light years, including Earth itself." The room was very quiet. Hayes could hear the ventilation system humming in the walls. "The risks?" asked Admiral Clark from the screen. Phillips answered. "Defensive mode should be safe. Offensive mode carries some risk to our own ships and satellites. Emergency mode could tear apart Earth's crust or disrupt our orbit. Or it could save the human race," Hayes added. Chancellor Volkov leaned back in her chair. "This is madness. We're talking about gambling with the entire planet." "The entire planet is already at risk," Hayes reminded her. "The Zephyrians don't take prisoners. They don't negotiate. They arrive, they conquer, they consume everything, and they move on. Earth will be stripped down to bedrock if they win." President Santos stood up. "How many people know about this project?" "Fewer than 200, Phillips answered. "Engineers, scientists, military personnel, all with the highest security clearances." "And you're certain this will work?" Dr. Foster and Phillips looked at each other. Foster spoke first. "We're certain the technology works. We've tested individual components for years, but we've never activated the full network against an actual enemy fleet. So we're betting everything on an untested weapon system," Prime Minister Kim said. "We're betting everything on the one advantage we have," Hayes corrected. "Earth itself. The Zephyrians have conquered the galaxy by being more advanced than everyone else. But they've never fought a species that could turn their own planet into a fortress." Admiral Clark's voice came through the speakers. "The network is ready for activation. All platforms are operational and connected. We just need authorization from the Global Defense Council." Hayes looked around the table one more time. "The vote is simple. Do we activate Project Leviathan and fight with Earth as our weapon? Or do we try to evacuate as many people as possible and hope the Zephyrians don't follow us across the galaxy?" The representatives looked at each other, then at the holographic displays showing the approaching alien fleet. President Santos was the first to speak. "I vote to activate Leviathan." One by one, the others agreed. When the vote was finished, it was unanimous. "Project Leviathan is authorized," Hayes announced. "May God help us all." Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Titan, watching the last message from Proxima Station fade to black. The screen showed nothing but static now. Just 30 minutes ago, Captain Kelly White had been reporting normal operations from humanity's farthest colony. Now there was only silence. "Sir, we lost contact with all 3 defense platforms," said Captain Lisa Barnes, her voice tight with worry. She worked at the communications panel trying different frequencies. "The long-range sensors show massive energy readings where the station used to be." Morrison walked closer to the main display. The holographic star map showed red warning lights where Proxima Station had been. 3 million people lived there. Families, children, scientists working on new technologies to help Earth. All gone in less than 6 hours. "Show me the sensor." "Logs from the automated probes," Morrison ordered. The display changed. Grainy images appeared showing massive ships dropping out of hyperspace near Proxima. The ships looked like no human technology Morrison had ever seen. They were huge, dark things that seemed to move like living creatures. Long, tentacle-like appendages reached out from their hulls, touching the station's outer rings. "My God," whispered Dr. Nathan Cross, the ship's science officer. "Look at how they move. Those aren't normal ships." The images showed the alien vessels literally eating the space station. Metal and concrete dissolved under some kind of energy beam. The station's defensive weapons fired back, but the alien ships just absorbed the damage and kept attacking. Morrison had seen these reports before. For the past 10 years, colonies on the edge of human space had been disappearing. Always the same pattern. Huge alien ships would arrive without warning, destroy everything, and vanish. The few survivors who escaped called them the Zephyrians. "Captain Barnes, get me Admiral Clark at Earth Command," Morrison said. The communication screen flickered to life. Admiral Susan Clark appeared, looking tired and worried. Behind her, Morrison could see the busy command center at Earth's main military base. "Jake, I assume you've seen what happened at Proxima," Clark said without greeting. 3 million people, Susan. Gone in 6 hours." Clark nodded slowly. "It's worse than that. We just received reports from the frontier colonies. The Zephyrian fleet is moving toward the inner systems. Our long-range scouts count at least 8,000 ships in their advance force." Morrison felt his stomach drop. 8,000 ships. The entire human fleet had maybe 2,000 vessels, and most of those were small patrol ships or cargo haulers converted for war. "What do we know about their main force?" Morrison asked. Dr. Cross stepped forward. "Admiral, I've been studying the attack patterns and recovered technology for 3 years. The Zephyrians aren't just conquering colonies. They're looking for something specific." "Explain," Clark said from the screen. Cross activated his datapad. "Every system they attack has the same stellar characteristics. Similar star types, specific planetary arrangements, particular gravitational signatures. They're not random attacks. They're searching." "Searching for what?" Morrison asked. "We think they're looking for Earth," Cross said quietly. The bridge fell silent. Morrison looked at the faces around him. These were good people. Trained officers who had dedicated their lives to protecting humanity. Now they looked scared. "Why Earth?" Clark asked. Cross brought up another display. "Our solar system has a unique gravitational signature. The way our planets orbit, the strength of our magnetic field, the size of our moon. It's all very rare. Ancient alien databases we've recovered mention something called the Sacred Formation. We think that's us." Morrison turned back to Clark. "How long do we have?" "At their current speed, 18 months until they reach Earth. Maybe less if they don't stop to strip mine the colonies along the way." The Admiral looked at his crew. These men and women had fought bravely against the Zephyrians before. They had seen entire fleets destroyed by the alien bioships. Every battle had been a defeat. Humanity's best weapons barely scratched the alien hulls. "Sir," said Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez from the sensor station, "I'm picking up distress calls from 3 more frontier colonies. The signals are getting weaker." Morrison closed his eyes for a moment. More colonies falling. More people dying. The Zephyrian Empire had been conquering the galaxy for over 300 years. They had destroyed 47 different civilizations. Each one had been more advanced than humans. "Susan, what are our options?" Morrison asked. Clark was quiet for a long moment. "Honestly, we've tried everything. Conventional weapons don't work. Their ships adapt to any attack we throw at them. They heal damage faster than we can cause it, and there are just too many of them. So we run, evacuate Earth, and hope they don't follow? Where would we go, Jake? They control most of the galaxy now. Every habitable world we know about is either under their control or will be soon." Dr. Cross spoke up again. "There might be another option, something we haven't tried yet." Morrison and Clark both looked at him. "What kind of option?" "The Zephyrians have conquered so many civilizations because they're more advanced than everyone else. Better weapons, faster ships, stronger shields. They win because they follow the rules of warfare better than anyone. And what if we don't follow the rules? What if we try something so different, so unexpected that their advantages don't matter?" Clark leaned forward on the screen. "Dr. Cross, with respect, we've tried everything. Nuclear weapons, plasma cannons, railguns, gravity bombs. Nothing works." "No, Admiral. We've tried everything advanced. We've tried to beat them at their own game. But what if we went the other direction? What if we used something so primitive, so basic that they wouldn't even recognize it as a threat?" Morrison was interested now. "What do you mean?" Cross walked to the main display. "Earth is unique, right? Our planet has properties that no other world in the galaxy has. What if instead of trying to build better ships, we turn Earth itself into a weapon?" "That's impossible," Barnes said. "You can't weaponize a planet." "Actually," Cross continued, "you can. Earth's magnetic field, our gravitational pull, the way our moon affects our tides. These are incredibly powerful forces, more powerful than any ship engine or weapon system. We just need to learn how to control them." Clark shook her head. "Nathan, even if that were possible, we don't have 18 months to develop completely new technology." "We might already have it," Cross said, quietly. "There are projects on Earth, classified projects that have been running for 20 years. Research into gravitational manipulation, magnetic field control, things that seemed like science fiction until now." Morrison looked at his science officer with new interest. "You're talking about Project Leviathan," Cross nodded. "You know about it?" "I have the clearance, but that project was theoretical research. They were studying Earth's magnetic field for academic purposes." "Sir, what if it wasn't just academic? What if someone knew this day would come and prepared for it?" The bridge was quiet, except for the hum of the ship's engines. Morrison thought about the reports from Proxima Station. 3 million people dead. The Zephyrian fleet moving toward Earth like a plague across the stars. "Admiral Clark," Morrison said, "I'm requesting permission to return to Earth immediately. We need to have a conversation with some very classified people." Clark nodded. "Granted. Jake, I hope your Dr. Cross is right about this, because if he's not, we're all dead in 18 months. The communication ended. Morrison turned to his crew. "Set course for Earth. Maximum speed." As the Titan turned toward home, Morrison looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, an alien armada was coming to destroy everything he had ever known. Humanity's only hope lay in secrets buried deep beneath Earth's oceans, and the possibility that their homeworld was more than just a planet. It was humanity's last chance to prove that sometimes the oldest solutions were the most powerful ones.